Hello, this is Dr. Tapati Yadav, Assistant Professor of Psychology in the Department of Humanities, Institute of Engineering and Sciences, IPS Academy, Indore. Today we will be discussing work-life balance with reference to theories and practices. We got hold of few significant theories that would help shape your life in better way. You can add more happiness and it would ensure your mental health. We got hold of certain theories. You may get hold of many more, provided there will be some theories that you cannot catch hold of. Nevertheless, you can refer to these theories and apply the theories into your life to increase your performance and happiness score. Work-life balance is all about effectively managing the demands of professional and personal life. It takes better planning and efficient time management. A balanced approach towards each aspect would ensure a well-maintained life. One has to create equilibrium in commitments towards work, towards family, and other activities that are not related to work. In the initial days of industrialization, only men comprised the workforce. Eventually, with change in scenario of education and skill training, women started contributing to family income and got engaged in formal employment. With increased commitment towards profession and not being able to free from the domestic responsibility, women keep juggling with both the responsibilities, and the work-life balance came into question. A lot of discussion drew leaders and human resource strategists concerned in work-life balance. The media and research triggered a theoretical rethinking of the related concepts, conducting and collecting empirical evidence in support of the concept. An imbalance in above mentioned aspects, health, finance, workplace, romance, hobbies, recreation, growth, career, friends and family. The individual got lost somewhere. So an imbalance in above mentioned aspects may cause a lot of unhappiness in somebody's life. It might lead to low productivity and high stress, whereas achieving balance in the same will lead to high efficiency and low stress. Before we start discussing the theories which had been drawn after a lot of research with empirical data, let's consider why this imbalance in work life was created at all. Ever since the inception of industrialization, things were going in right direction. But then this dual career families came into picture. Mothers returning to the workforce, single parent households and childless couples, single workers, worker with a long-standing health problem or disability, increasing rate of active elderly workers, growing number of women in the workplace, starting career at an early age, individual perception about life, status and success, all contributed to the mismanagement of time and also imbalance in work-life equation. Roles in family, roles at workplace, autonomy and delegation, flexible timings and sustainable workforce. If we consider all these factors, maybe we can bring back the balance in individual's life, because a person at any given point of time plays multiple roles with multiple expectations. Coming up to everybody's expectations requires a lot of refinement in performance, and then it becomes at times very difficult to distribute time and energy, which are limited resources, to create that equilibrium and maintain that equilibrium all through. So here we go along with the theories of work-life balance. We will be picking up the theory one after the other without actually discussing all of them chronologically. We will be discussing more or less with relation to each other how one has given way to another theory and how these theories are interrelated yet different and separated, and how we can put all of them to work together in our life by simply designing a new strategy, a very customized strategy for our own selves and for our own betterment. So we start with the segmentation theory. Segmentation between work and life takes place when people suppresses moods related to one function in another territory. Like work-related mood, behavior and habit are suppressed at home. Similarly, habits and behaviors from personal zone are not exhibited at workplace. But naturally, if you show certain kind of bossism at home, you may not be taken very welcoming family member, because at family we consider few people higher in authority like your parents, few like your spouse would stand parallel to you, so you cannot have an autocratic attitude at home. Similarly, if you are a younger member in your family and people do pamper your need there, you cannot show off tantrums at your workplace. So segmenters are people who can create a mental fence by restraining personal behaviors, emotions, thoughts and pleasures. They can successfully keep work at workplace and separate it from any other place that is not work related. Since the time of Industrial Revolution, work and life have been inherently differentiated by time, space and function, because those days the expectations related to roles were very well defined and categorically been assigned to the specific gender or the particular family member in a family, and it never interfered with their performance at their workplace. Next, we'll discuss spillover theory. This focuses on the relatedness between work life and family life. This is the most widely accepted theory of work-life balance, and there are ample proof that individuals carry feelings, emotions, attitudes, skills and behaviors from home to work and workplace to home every day. Nobody can live in isolation and in perfect categorization that I would not, people may discuss like I would not discuss my work related role and profile at my home. But then you cannot just leave everything behind and head towards your home every evening if there is some unfinished task which you are answerable to. So the process occurs at individual level and spreads out to different domains of life of that one individual. So this spillover is like spillover of emotions is like intra-individual. You probably are burdened with some kind of responsibility at your workplace. You carry that responsibility with you. You keep calculating the outcome of your each action on the way to home. You may not show up that anger or that stress to your family members, but then that doesn't mean that it does not exist. So it would stay within you. So spillover gets manifested in positive and negative way both. Satisfaction and skills from one domain can enhance the other, whereas fatigue and frustration from one domain would spoil performance in the other. Autonomy and social support in one area would strengthen relationship in another, and likewise opposition and competition in one area would hamper performance in the another zone. So positive and negative experiences and abilities both at work and home would create an impact at individuals' performance at both the places, both work and home. Next, we discuss compensation theory. Compensation, as the word is self-explanatory, like you try to compensate for something that you do not have. So people who are not happy, maybe at home doing a lot of things, putting a lot of effort but not receiving any appreciation, would automatically try to do a little more at their workplace so that they get that appreciation. Or on the other hand, maybe individual who receive appreciation at one front would spend more time and energy at that one place, may it be work related zone or the family front or any other field which is not work related, and spend more time there. Like suppose youngsters, somebody would prefer spending more time at gymnasium, not necessarily because the person enjoys exercising. Maybe he has onlookers appreciative glances and would like to spend more time to develop a social circle. So the compensation theory explains that the negative experiences of one domain have positive experience in another domain. So people attempt to make up for the deficiency in one role by greater involvement in the another role. They try to supplement the positive experience at one place by doing more at other. Sometimes people try to overcompensate for their work by doing extra at home. Sometimes they try to negate the negative experiences of one place by doing more and achieve better experiences at the counter zone. So the behavior is typically characterized by decreased participation in dissatisfying aspect and increased participation in satisfying domain, without actually taking in account for if that particular behavior is ruining something, or is that a actual mark of success and happiness. Why would people choose to act in that one way, spending one time somewhere, a little more time at one place and cutting short of time from another place? One is compensation, another is maybe that's the only way to buy happiness for the people who are on the other side of the zone. So a worker who is spending a little more time at workplace is looking up to the earning, whatever amount they earn in overtime work, so that they can buy a little more extra things, goodies for the kids, some medicine for the elderly. So some way or other they are cutting short of their involvement in family front, so that they can buy required things for their family members, spending extra time at the workplace wherein they may or may not like the workplace or the environment there, or they are tired, or they are just not willing to spend that extra time, but they would choose to spend that extra time so that they can buy rewards for their family members. So people engage themselves in work for many reasons, not always for the same. Sometimes it is for the money, sometimes it's for the reward, some other reward, some kind of reinforcements. Sometimes the task itself is a reward, like mostly scientists, research scientists spend a lot of time at their workplace, not because they will be like earning some extra money, it's because the result itself is enticing for them to spend that extra time. An individual may choose to spend extra hours in anticipation of earning extra to be able to afford a vacation with the family. So in a way, the person is robbing time from his family to ensure that they spend better time together as a family. So instrumental theory describes work-life balance may not be as imbalanced as it looks from the far away. It could actually be compensating or helping in creating that balance, which people or onlooker or researchers sometimes escape or forget to take note of, or people do not mark it with a significant color. Now when you spend more time at your workplace in the hope that you will be earning extra so that you can spend more time with your family members, happier moments together, this will create inter-role conflict. You probably are spending extra times, working extra hours for that extra reward, wherein your daughter or son is waiting at home for your guidance to do good in mathematics, or maybe Hindi or English, or they want to learn chemistry from you, and they are waiting because they would like to spend that time, quality time with you, and they don't want to study under somebody else's supervision. But you know that that very education is going to help your kids go for higher education to some institution wherein the fee could be very high, and to accumulate that amount you need to spend this extra time at your workplace so that you can save money to send that child to that institution for the higher education. And it sometimes becomes very difficult to explain this to kids at home, and also it sometimes is very difficult to explain to self. This is called incompatibility theory. For this very reason, the theory highlights different types of conflicts that takes place within an individual with respect to the work-life balance, conflicts with respect to time, with respect to role strain, success, self-identification, career and social support, etc. It's a known fact that time and energy are available in limited quantity that has to be wisely divided amongst different roles as individual. One has to be very diligent to play it wise, and if they fail to divide their time based on need, if they fail to structurally process their thoughts, and if they fail to predispose, like dispose of the appropriate behavior at the zone, the domain, life domain, which is could be work or non-work related. If they fail to show up the appropriate thing that is required at that very point of time, referring to the role the person is supposed to project, and then the life would, the work life balance would get under question mark. If they can do it formally, it's good. Next, we'll be discussing the human capital theory. Human capital theory is like, you have to first understand that you are an individual. Time and energy are commodities, and these are limited. This will go away, so you make a wise use of them. Now, it would not be very practical inch to inch all the while. You will have to, somehow design a device wherein you give yourself some margin to fail. It's human after all, so you may forget at times. So you have to create that forgiveness within yourself, wherein if you are not able to manage time and energy every time it is needed, it's not a seesaw, like you cannot create that linear balance all the while. So you have to also keep some margin wherein you can later compensate for what has been lost. So it is important that one precisely understands the need of self, the need of family, and also the need of organization. Work-life balance would go for toss whenever expectation and performance from one domain interferes with expectation and performance in another domain. So you have to, as an individual, you will always have to keep in your mind what are the expectations and how do you perform, and to satisfy whom. So satiation has to be defined perfectly based on your own understanding of need. Let's move to the next theory. So congruence theory teaches us exactly how we can merge our genetic forces, a style of behavior, personality trait, and the socio-cultural forces together. So this is very similar to spillover theory. This theory explains how a moderating variable may have impact on different domains of life of an individual, as we were discussing with reference to the last theory of human nature. Like, suppose you have categorically defined your work zone and non-work zone, and then you have assigned certain tasks, certain roles. You have also allocated a time slot wherein you would have preferred to be at your workplace, but for some reasons, for some urgency, you could not stay there because maybe as far as your mood is concerned, maybe if there is an urgency at home front, maybe you're not able to concentrate to your work, so you would get back to home and attend to your family members' need. Now there is a moderating variable, that is the urgency. The socio-cultural setup has changed. Now you have to learn how to compensate for your work, leftover work that you have kept unfinished at your work front the next day. So the third variable, as intelligence or other personality trait, would have a significant say on individuals' behavior both at home and workplace. The mediating variable can be anything. As we have discussed, it could be genetic factors. Genetic factor means the element of anger, the element of shyness, the element of achievement orientation. So your personality traits, socio-cultural factors like where you are, who are, like how big the family is, or a combination of all of them would create a lot of impact in your thought processes on how you want to balance your work area and family area. So we move to the next theory now, and it is called boundary theory. Boundary theory actually sounds very similar to border theory that we'll be discussing later. Herein, people are supposed to have a certain amount of flexibility in their approach towards work and towards home front, both psychologically and technically, that is task related. Depending on the individual traits, these boundaries could be very rigid, not allowing a domain being affected by the responsibilities of another domain. Sometimes they can be very fluid, that allows continuous interference of one domain on another. Now, if let us consider, if everything is going right as every day goes, like there is nothing very unexpected event, nothing of that sort has taken place, so you would obviously follow your routine, go to your workplace, attend to work, fulfill your responsibilities, get home, and then attend your responsibilities there. Uncalled for events are like there is a sick member in the family. Similarly, there is an uncalled for event at workplace wherein probably you have to submit a project. Today is the deadline. So, if the boundary is very rigid, then you would not allow the energy or time to be spent at workplace. Maybe if you're at workplace, you will not think about your family friend. Maybe if you are in family, you would not remember or recall the task that is left unfinished at your workplace. But if it is fluid, it will keep coming and going. So work and family are two independent domains. They really cannot act simultaneously. Hence, the strong boundaries keep them aloof, and flexible boundaries let them responsibilities be fulfilled turn-wise. As an individual member, it's you who has to select wherein you can allow those thought processes to transfer from each other. So individuals accordingly can be characterized as border crossers or border keepers. So if you are a border crosser, you have to learn that you should not cross it too frequently. If you are a border keeper, you also have to learn that there are certain scenarios wherein you cannot be holding yourself back from attending to the responsibilities that probably falls in the another domain of life. If we can do that, like remembering that there are other domains which call for your attention and which are equally significant, then we are probably following this facilitation theory, wherein the social structures naturally use available avenues to increase positions without regard for the field constraints, and there the learning, the mood, the skill set, the mood, the behavior, the understanding of work and time, everything works in unison towards completing a task. It becomes easier to perform in one domain when transfer of training takes place in context of skills, attitude or behavior. Learning in one domain would nurture requirement of the other. This occurs when an individual and social system naturally uses the available resources and talent to foster performance. This is an easier way to maintain balance in each domain without interrupting participation in another role. The components that help facilitate activities are engagement with roles, gains in performance, and enhanced functioning. This is bidirectional in nature because it involves the facilitation of the family to work and also from work to family. Some skills that you have learned in family suppose you have learned how to control your anger in family, would help you gain appreciation at your workplace because you would know not to get in argument with your seniors. The next we will be discussing the resource conservation theory. Resource conservation, as we have spoken time and again, that we have limited amount of time and energy with us. So resource conservation theory speaks of conserving all that you have. So this work interference makes individuals to be sensitive to loss of resources when there is too much of interference from different domain or conflicting domain in the performance of the individual. A lot can be saved by insisting on old age practices and primitive philosophy of division of labor. Those days, the roles in family or at workplace were mostly defined based on gender, caste or creed. In modern era, it is strongly advocated that roles and division of labor should never be based on gender. Individual family members can always divide roles amongst themselves to create a healthy balance between work pressure of the profession and also in family affairs, like Suppose there is a big project going on, and you have to perform and submit that project before the deadline, and there is also a marriage taking place. Now the family members may decide amongst themselves who would attend the marriage and who would stay at workplace. Now this is predefined, right? Either the husband or the wife, either of the spouse will have to submit the project. Both of them are not supposed to submit the project because it's not deadline for both of them. Maybe both of them are working. So whosoever is supposed to submit the project, the other person can decide to go and attend the marriage and represent family. Now this could be, age old tradition was the wife goes to marriage and husband remains at workplace. Now suppose if it is the wife who has to submit the project, obviously it can be decided that the husband goes to attend the marriage, represent the family, and wife remains here and submit the project and get appreciation at their workplace. Now border exists between the domains like non-work area and work area. This stands true for both the gender, and that is why maintaining a balance depending on the roles and responsibility at both the places is always advisable, rather than depending on the gender you decide who would perform which duty. It is difficult to assign roles strictly to different border. Nevertheless, it was presumed earlier that work and non-work are two different domains which act in two different zones differentiated by borders. So individual cross the borders each day mentally to be present in the work domain for the stipulated time and return to non-work zone later, which obviously was found very difficult as the time passed by and the connectivity and the technology has now, it doesn't permit you to stay away from work when you are at home or stay away from home when you are at work. Similarly, the technology also has helped making work very easily to be accomplished because you have access to your both the roles and responsibility at the same time. So with some degree of expertise in negotiating the flexibility and permeability between the domains, it is possible to maintain a healthy balance between the two zones. So the more we get restricted by those borders that we have created mentally, the more we get perturbed, because sometimes it really becomes very difficult to stick to one category and overlook the other. Hence the integration theory works better, wherein it seeks a modern understanding that reshapes the customary work-life standards, making all concerned parties dynamic partners and they include everybody's expectations, everybody's duties, and then it gets segregated in such a way that everybody can take care of their primary responsibility. And also they can merge or make use of the skills learned at different zone so that they can perform better in one domain, which is the matter of concern for that particular time being. Integrating skills and performance in both work and non-work domain can yield better results than in isolation. There should be minimum segregation in belongingness to work and non-work domain. Time and energy should be divided, giving equal importance to both. Reaching for an educational workshop should be given equal importance as reaching out for an vocational workshop. High role integration refers to a state when there is no distinction as to what belongs to home and what belongs to work, and this had been made possible with the advancement in technology, that people can accomplish everything that they are wanting to accomplish and complete their task without actually physically being present in their work zone. This particular theory of integration has led to enrichment in life. This is also called enhancement theory, wherein the experience and learning of one domain enriches the experiences and performances in another domain, and life as a whole goes for a betterment. So nobody lives in isolation. Nobody can live hiding from their own self. So it's but natural that the experience from one role will boost quality of work in another domain. So the experiences derived from the affective sources as mood and satisfaction Or instrumental sources as abilities and values will intervene and improve quality of performance in each domain of life. When positive behavior and emotions are transferred between work and non-work domain, it enriches the experience. Similarly, when skills and behavior are transferred positively, it enriches the performance. So, employee observe that both life and work roles are enhanced due to the level in which experience in each role boosts quality of life and other roles. When you give importance to the individual and the organization equally, you create a ladder of success. So the theory states that every story has two sides, which is the same as in work-life balance also. The ladder has two legs. One is considered as person's duties for the company, and the other one is organization duties towards the employee. So when we speak of work-life balance, we discuss these two elements, important element of individual and organization. Both of them are responsible for each other's well-being and success, and hence both of them are equally important. The participating parties are joined by steps of recruitment, retention, productivity, morale, services, commitment, revenues and profit. So both organization and individual will have to stand strong and healthy to ensure that success and happiness go hand by hand, and that is why employee engagement plans are made to be mandatory in all the organizations, wherein it's organization's duty to perceive that employees are protected of their rightful right of remaining happy, and they are given equal opportunity to grow. When we transfer this experiences, learning, happiness from one sphere to another, it reduces the resources available in the original place. So an individual, if he is giving his time and the best to the organization's growth, obviously he is left with less time and less energy to give into family's betterment. Same is the case if a person spends a lot of time at family front, is left with less time to devote at workplace. If we do not combine the need at both the places, it becomes very difficult for the individual to make an individual choice on wherein he should be committing more time and more resources. So where individual as an unit and society as a whole tries to achieve higher and complex goal, it becomes mandatory that everybody spends some time with themselves alone and also with others, brainstorming as a group to ponder upon beneficial strategies that protects right to happiness when the person is in pursuit of success. It should never be like organization grows and the individual remains unhappy, because unhappy individuals will create a very gloomy society, and gloomy society cannot grow. So if we want to grow and develop, we'll have to grow and develop together, maintaining a balance between both the front. And the next we discuss ecological systems theory. As we all know, to have a sustainable living, all of us will have to consider natural resources which are limited, along with the individual choices, with giving a lot of consideration to organizational growth. So we cannot forget that earning is important. Also important is caring. Why do you want to earn that money? You want to spend on other lavish things. You may want to spend it on bare minimum luxuries, but you still want to spend that money. You cannot eat money, you cannot wear money, so you need that amount, that money, for your entertainment, for your regular feeding, for your regular needs. So as Maslow has described, you have to achieve all 5 levels, like right from psychological need to acquiring that stage of self-actualization. You have to keep in mind that you are not machine or a robot. At the same time, you also have to remember to feed yourself as a human being and keep yourself alive with all sorts of happiness. You need to divide your time and energy effectively. So earning and caring are the two of the most important activities of the families, which adapt and change with changing circumstances of the families, and same stands true for the organization. The more you care for the organizational goal, the more you become a prominent factor in the organizational growth, and the organization cares for your development and success and happiness in turn. 4 types of influence that can occur between work and family based on direction and violence. This is what we have understood up till now, that we will have negative influences from family to workplace and also from workplace to family, and same stands for the positive influence. We can read through, like when the effect is negative from the family domain to work domain, it is called family to work conflict. When it is negative from the work domain to the family domain, it is called work to family conflict. When it is positive from family to work, it is called family to work enrichment. And when it is positive from the work to family domain, it is called work to family enrichment. So if it is positive, it is enriching. If it is negative, it is conflicting. So sustainable development goals aims at achieving global peace and prosperity. The challenge is to provide productive employment, create sustainable workforce with noticeable improvement in quality of living amongst all, wherein all of us know that this 2 contemporary domain of life, one is family, other is called work. Family meaning non-work domain. So it could be family, it could be friends, it could be neighborhood, it could be hobbies. So anything that is positive will enrich your experiences on both the domains. Anything that is negative will create conflict in both the domains. So what you need to understand is make it more positive. These are certain theoretical perspectives given by the scholars after a lot of research and statistical interference. So the increasing prominence of work-life balance concern triggered a theoretical and practical rethinking of their related constructs like issues of equity, social engagement and fair distribution of opportunity. The whole mankind needs to devise a new mechanism that accentuate any effect of race, gender and equality of processes at work and society to have a happy life and successful life at the same time. So as we can see, the balance between work and life is not absolute. It is related to the importance that is given by the worker to various domains. It is important to create that balance, and as an individual of the society, as the singular unit of the family, the individual with the self-awareness, knowing themselves, can only create and design and desire for that balance. Only that individual knows what they need the best and most in their life. So if you ensure that you step on the right stone, on the right time, applying the right pressure, you will grow and you can succeed to no limit. Success is limitless. Happiness is limitless. Only time and energy are the resources that are very limited, has to be distributed wisely to maintain that work-life balance. So we wish that you do that with a lot of wisdom. Enjoy life. Thank you.